Mongols versus the Abysses on Boulder Bay. And I'll remind you folks, this is Beastyqt, one of the tournament favorites, up against Dinkey King, the Australian from down under, looking to put Beastie down under. Let's get underway.
Ooh, and this one will be so weird because ships got a complete redesign. Remember that arrow ships now don't fire anymore while moving. So we actually have no idea how good are what civilizations.
Also, the battlers are less bad. They actually got buffed, right? Their ballista shots do 70 damage. So mathematically, like these two civs, the castle age ships do similar damage, the war junks and the battlers. I mean, the battlers should still fare slightly worse, but it's not that much of a differential as it used to be. Like, it's a closer matchup than in previous patches.
Beastyqt even went for an ovo. Sometimes in the past, if we saw Mongols being used, we actually didn't see an ovo play. We saw that 150 stone invested and land aggression by Beastyqt.
This is pretty smart, actually. Like, the Warfront is kind of an awkward bait sometimes. If you think you have the level of aggression, you can completely catch your opponent off guard. And he knows he can because Beastie scouted this out. So he understands that Dinkey's invested in the Warfront. And also, because he spent 150 wood there and now is going to have to afford the fishing boats he wants to produce, he's going to delay his own feudal timing. So Beastie could end up vastly ahead in this one.
Both will have, like, untypically late feudal age timing. The thing is, if you sometimes try to defend... 75 dog. 75 wood dog for Abyssit.
Oh, yeah,
that
sorry.
one is indeed used. But still, quite some investment, and therefore your own barracks certainly delayed if you wanted to go for that as a defense here, as the Abyssit player.
Yeah, the interesting part to me is that you should somewhat anticipate the Mongols doing this. It doesn't matter what map it is. Mongols tend to go for the Ubu first because it's passive generation, right? So you get it super early, it pays for itself better. And that's also what's been kind of a stinger in a lot of matchups. Like, if you remember back when Delhi started to reign supreme on water hybrid maps, Mongols, it felt impossible to win on maps such as Confluence and Mongolian Heights because you couldn't go for the dock straight away. You couldn't go for the outpost straight away. Instead, you had to stop off for a 150 wood structure in the Uvu to pad yourself later because it's such a critical element to any build for the Mongols. Are they trying to fish? That doesn't work.
Fishermen?
You'd think they'd be
the
better
heck?
than normal
Lances.
fishermen, right? Because they can just stab
That's
in.
fine. But do you want a lance or do you want a net?
I mean, like, I can get the bigger fish. Like, can you catch... Okay, I can throw a spear at a shark, and then I've got a shark, and that's a lot of meat.
You got a shark!
You know, I just got him in
we
one.
need a quote for that. I can throw a spear at the shark, and then I have a shark.
Yes, it's like Pokemon, right?
Okay.
But hey, in fairness, I could hit that shark in one because it's Age of Empires 4. As we know, your shots don't miss. So if I shoot someone, it's going to hit. Sadly, there's no sharks here in Boulder Bay. Would make the water more interesting, right? Like, we got wolves. Why can't we have sharks? I'm sure someone will mod that into the game. But here we go. Spears moving in on the dock. And an outpost on the front as well. And Dinkey King, he actually went into the rack, so he's going to have a defense force. But
Let's see. Still didn't see the tower. So he goes for the defense first, next to his dog. And that will be fine. So dog survives. Tower will go up, though.
And that's the bigger deal. It's like a bait and switch, right? You'll peel him off here, and he'll go to the wood line. And I don't know if you noticed this yet, but Dinkey King only has one wood line. This is the only one.
The other ones at the top are kind of small. One at the side here. Still okay-ish. Well, that's... you can get some wild straggler trees there.
Ah, yes.
It's not the most dense forest, but okay.
Which is always what I want at 5 minutes in the game, is to have to go on straggler trees, right? It's... I don't think this is looking good for Dinkey unless he can deny this outpost. He's going to see it now. Moves out towards it. Beastie, I don't think he has enough spears here to deter this. And he's not paying attention. The villager gets surrounded. He's going to go down. And that was critical. Dinkey saves himself. 1 foot was in the grave, but he will not stick the other in there. And this is why...
He was distracted at the front. Yeah.
Okay.
Goes to the boar.
Have you seen this from the Mongols? I haven't.
No. How does that even work?
Because
I
there's
was
more boar,
so
right?
surprised. And now the boar. What? The boar is attacking?
What?
And it's doing okay damage. Honestly, the tower falls.
Siege
Is
boar.
the boar healing?
OS frog, please. Like this is.
The boar is healing.
There's 4 people in that
Isn't it?
outpost.
No.
The boar, no, he hasn't reset because it's an aggro range. So as long as the tower's here, but if the tower dies first, it will kill the boar. Don't worry, folks. But
Instantly spotted this one.
oh no! By the way, something we should point out. What you're thinking right now, you're like, wait, there's a boar in Beastie's base. There's a boar on the outpost, but there's still 2 more boars. Yes. You are seeing this correctly. Boulder Bay has a lot more value on land now as it spawns 4 boars.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know. Dinky Kang
wait.
on the way to Feudal Age.
So
Boar
is
still
Beastie.
following.
Oh, this time is really good actually for Beastie because he goes delayed onto the water, but now he has a better water unit, right? Like, Junks, despite their name, are anything but, especially compared to DAOs, which I think most players would agree DAOs still feel like the worst tech to boat that you can build.
I've not played a single water game on this patch, so I
Good
actually
choice.
don't know.
I would say like the Mongols should be a little bit discounted to what they were because the big advantage with the Junks used to be they could drive by, right? Because they moved at like 1.87 with upgrades. Like it was ridiculously fast. So they're one of the sufferers from this change that you can't fire with archer ships while moving. But it still allows you to dictate the flow and the position you take the fights. And it's also more cost efficient. Like if we check the numbers, you'll see that junk ships are a lot less pricey than DAOs.
Okay, and they didn't get any buffs?
I don't think they
That
changed
feels-
anything about them.
Ooh.
Right. Like those specific units. Like, the one that I remember did get changed is the Badlers, because the Badlers, there's a reason I keep calling that by default. They are really bad. But they got buffed. I think their ballistas got changed from 50 damage to 70 damage, which it doesn't sound like the biggest number, but it's somewhat significant because one of the biggest issues for Badlers is you couldn't kill buildings. Remember that buildings have 50 missile resistance, which meant that your ballista shots were doing 1 damage.
Yeah, that was an interesting design, let's call it that way. And now the first ships are going out, and actually Beastyqt is getting into a reasonable position here. But the Khan should die, could die. Tries to go for the surround, trying to chase it down.
You're gonna need a few more spears. It's pretty fast though. Like, but where's his exit plan? Like, he has to go so far around. It's a good distraction though, and it looks like Dinkey did switch onto a different wood line because of those outposts. But this limits his value, right? Like, there's only so much here, and it means he has to plop down more lumber camps. Let's bang for buck, and bang for buck already achieved for Beastie. Beats his opponent at the punchline, moves in with the spears now, and this is problematic because with this junk ship, he can snipe a lot of these spearmen. Watch the damage that comes out when they start gatling them down. For the moment, though, he chooses not to. Here he comes.
Okay, now he joined the party. What does he?
I mean, the problem is Dinkey knows he can't take the fight. Like, even if he wins, it's not worth what it costs, right? It's the, but what did it cost moment that you realize. And, oh my god, Dows looks so bad. 500 versus 400 health, similar damage output, a lot less pricey, and it's a 2-on-1. And he's going for the spearmen because the spearmen are going to do the business, and they've already done it. 50 resources achieved, dock burn, and when it goes down, your fishing eco is going to be exposed as well. Not that it would be able to gather. Dinkey, I believe he was setting up a second dock to the north, takes this opportunity to get rid of the outpost next to his base. But so far, Beastie, these are good timings. It's a lot of pressure, and it's a really pricey investment for Dinkey as he's not getting this up quick enough. Villager will probably go down.
Oh, Tricky tries to throw in the last hammer there. Doc likely to go up in the end.
Just
so
about.
fishing continues a bit, but Beastyqt still has 4 warships on the water.
Yeah, he's vibing
Fine
right
for him.
now. Dinkey only has fishing boats out there, right? But they had to run northwest. They're trying to
Is that
become
boat
like
floating?
traders.
It's not lying on the ground, the boar. Show us the boar again,
What?
Lidakor. It's kind of floating in the air.
Ah,
me see.
because well, it's because the boar is a sacred figure of Mongol civil. I don't know Mongol civilization well enough. Maybe it is. Either that, or they've discovered like alien technology that allows them to float the carcass for more efficient extraction.
Well, maybe the boar is like this game. The stakes are high.
Maybe the boar is just like that's. It's been a good boar, so it's going to boar heaven, right? It's already halfway there. We're just overthinking this, you know. This is like what, the 12th century? Everyone still believes in heaven and hell. It's all good. Double dot now. Triple dot. Whoa, okay.
Triple dot. Wow. Okay.
Well, he needs fish now. Like, he dominated the water, right? Might as well get the fish as well.
What are the next plays here? Dinkey King will actually get to Castle Age at a reasonable... Maybe should he even hide his spearmen? And then make like a ram or a mangonel push from the side happen?
He could, because there's a stealth forest there. So even if he was paranoid about that... Oh, no!
One of the best upgrades in the game. Making you invest half the food cost into your villagers. Not being researched. Basically, arguably the reason #1 why you pick Abbasid.
Well,
Dinkey King didn't go for it.
Has he been missing villager production as well? Because his fishing boats hadn't been found, so he was like, some of that eco is fishing boats that BC have. I think he might have missed production at 1 or 2 points. It feels like it. Like, he feels like he should be a little bit more bulky. Yeah, no, I think he's fine. I think overall he's been fine. It's just like, it seems very weird because the fresh food stuff could have caused this trip up with everything else. But he's making his way up to Castle Age. And I think he still hasn't realized that he doesn't have fresh foodstuffs.
Yeah. Maybe you realize once it's queued up, he goes for the military wing, by the way. So wants to upgrade his infantry. Obviously, the order changed a bit right now in the House of Wisdom.
Yes.
So more HP is the first tech.
Yeah, it's the 15% increase for infantry. I like this change, actually. I think this bolstered the Abbasid's Castle Age timing to be even better than it used to be. Obviously, that means you're forgoing getting the tech cost reduction, which is really popular, but you still go back for that Imperial Age, and that's when you get the biggest value, because Imperial Age techs usually cost about 1,000 resources each.
Yeah. I like economic as the third one. Economy is so weak that you probably don't go for mass upgrades anyways, so I don't mind this.
Yeah.
What I also don't mind is trying to kill the dog and trying to take fish away, but Beastyqt sits on 3 dogs, so that won't actually be as big of a W than Dinkey King thinks.
Naval combat looks so kind of clunky now, doesn't it? Stop, shoot. Stop, shoot. I mean, I don't know if I preferred the alternative, but there was a give and take, right? Because it used to be, like, if you're a drive-by, you don't necessarily choose what you're targeting. So there was, like, a downside to it. Not a big downside, but there was something. Now it feels like we've kind of made naval warfare a bit more one-dimensional.
I can't really judge it, honestly. Also, like, do we really have lots of water maps being played on competitive level?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think we will really find out. I still believe water needs a complete redesign,
Yes.
but obviously that's a colossal project.
Well, apparently it was absurd when in the early like alpha phase. I heard rumors that you had to build scouting ships where you couldn't see anything. So it could be worse, folks.
The turn time was more like actually realistic. So like Hulk spinning took you probably like 8 seconds to 10 seconds.
See, I like
before
that.
you could shoot on the other side. Yeah,
I kind of like that idea. Like, bring it back. You know, let's get to it.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
You know, just get like long range battles that they can only like turn slowly. I don't know, maybe. All right, anyway, let's focus on what's happening because we're dragging away from the naval side. We're getting on the land now. It's the proxy base, Dinkey King. Well, we've been distracted alongside Beastie on the water. He has been hard at work prepping this timing, and this is going to be muy perfecto. Beastie is still not up in castle. He's getting the man-at-arms out in the meantime, and also because he's playing as the Abbasids, he has the ability to build siege in the field, so he can instantly transition into a hard but strong push into Beastie's base.
I say instantly. It's not that instantly anymore. Remember,
That's
all
true.
the times increased there when it comes to Mangonels, when it comes to Springles, the main units that you want to go for. Archer range defense, so that's likely to be some more crossbows, at least I thought so. But more mango dice are popping. Finally, fresh foodstuffs.
But that point about the creeping siege applies to both, right? Because the Mongols won't build a siege workshop either. So, like, this is the kind of the weird thing about this matchup. What used to be the biggest strong point, like, negates each other now. So if they both go into siege, they're still on equal footing because it's unlikely either one will invest in a siege workshop. In fact, the only one that might is Dinkey so that he can get his hands on trebuchets. But Magadai now the switch up. Beastie. This is a really good answer. There's no ranged composite to Dinkey's force right now.
Maybe with Mangonels there could be something, but obviously that's a big investment, especially if Dinkey is going for the other town center in addition to his first one. Oh, that's quite some pressure now.
They're heavily armored. They're barely taking any damage. He actually needs sprint upgrades, if anything. Like, they're chasing onto the wood line now. Even though the villagers can run quicker, courtesy of the Yam and the wheelbarrow, it's still frustrating. It's still denying you. And Dinkey is still escalating his own eco in the meantime. There is small amounts of harass in his base, but nothing compared to the delay on his own.
Oh, but his fishing ship eco should just be so crazy. Even if you have 10 villagers in the town center, you don't mind it too much. The economy has to be better. Just look at the minimap. Look at all the small blue dots moving on water.
Just look at the food income number in the top left corner. Like, that's the biggest indication of anything. 3 times, almost 4 times that of Dinkey, and it's just getting bigger, while Dinkey gets dinkier.
And now on Mangonel, but the army oomph is simply gone. I think he needed to wait for the man-at-arms a bit more and then make a push happen together with the siege, because that's the only winning condition. He needed to have one big attack early Castle Age pay dividend. I also am not sure about the second town center. Yeah, it's where Abyssal shines, but I think you lost your timing already.
Yeah, we have to look at this from the player perspective, right? Like, we've seen what happens when you play into these water maps like Boulder Bay. If you lose water, it feels like you lose game. And that's what informed Dinkey's choice. He's getting overly aggressive because he's paranoid about the state of the game in the next 5-10 minutes. And now he's reached this point where he's being buffered away successfully by Beasty, who's also going to eliminate this Mangonel at this rate. His only choice now is to fall back to land booming, and that's why he goes to the second TC. My concern is, if I was to click on that House of Wisdom right now, would my eyes need to be bleached? Or has he finally got fresh foodstuffs?
He got it quite some time ago.
Thank God.
Yeah, first upgrade there after reaching Feudal Age. So finally there, but numbers still not looking hot, and Beastyqt, it just feels, especially with improved siege engineering, should have reasonable answers there, and food economy is just absolutely unmatched.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like, this is the power of water, folks. You know, you can talk about the nerfs, the tweaks. Yes, we did make some serious tweaks to the military side of water, but the eco has kind of stayed the same. And Beasty is proving that perfectly. That's a renewed push.
This is just a push. At the moment we get 2 sprinkles out, this is doing nothing anymore.
Yeah, but when does that moment come? Because Beasty still hasn't done it. In fact, Beasty still hasn't even dropped a blacksmith. Right?
Beastyqt is getting improved siege engineering right now.
Okay, so he is getting into... Yeah, he forgot... Okay, there we go. He started to queue up. He's going to the melee as well. This was delayed, though, so he finally has the siege engineering. The timing might link up pretty well, but what we highlighted about Dinkey, we have to highlight for Mongols as well. Like, both of these civs take a lot longer to build their siege now in the field.
Yeah, but also Mangonels take some time to even get over there.
Sure.
And, well, Mangonels not finding the greatest raids ever.
Just send them home to the horse gods, you know, just little sacrifices. Beasty had given up on that, right? You can see the transition he's making now. It's a static force, so he's going for the creeping siege, hence why he also going to the improved siege engineering. And he can afford the world right now. Like, all of his land eco can just go wood gold. I feel like when you just zoom in and can hear it that loud, it really, you just kind of process just how ridiculous the food income is from the sea, right?
And Beastyqt is actually not even going for the most broken thing. And I think it might actually be the most broken thing in this game, is water trade. They pay off so quickly. They are ridiculously cheap for what they generate. And I'm actually shocked that this is not used. Just use the coastal trade post, and they pay off, I think, after 2 trips.
Yeah.
Yeah, 300 wood, 100 gold investment, but crazy generation of resources.
So I think for Beasty right now, the reason he doesn't do this is because he needs a lot of wood and gold to now build up the siege. And you can see it as he's just built 3 sprinklers in the blink of an eye. And the other important detail to consider is, like, you don't need it yet because you went step read out, right? This is a big power spike for the Mongols. Right now, his food and gold is booming. Wood is the only limiting factor, but because he's pushed so many people in that wood line, you can see he's floating over 1,000. So for him to invest now into trade feels suboptimal. In the next 5 or 10 minutes, I could see it, but for now, Beasty, I can't believe he even got that far in with a monk. Like,
it felt weird, right? Yeah, that he even touched it was already a small victory for him.
He's like, no, nothing to see here, guys. I've got the appropriate paperwork. Just look the other way, which is what Dinkey's doing right now. This is both the Mangonels. Springel's able to wheel away. Remember, Yam does not affect them anymore, so the chase down comes out from the MAA, but they're not focusing on the crossbows. The crossbows are focusing on them. And now they're out of position. Army is going to be wiped for Dinkey. Dinkey actually just calls it. He can't afford to replace what was lost. Beasty will take a beastly win here on Boulder Bay.
Really put on the spot there. After he lost the villager, didn't have water control. Dinkey King was in quite a nice situation, but Beastyqt able to redog Dinkey King. Maybe with the spearman could have prevented a redog there, but in the end, look at the economy, just so much better for Beastyqt.